Susan Lowenberg, producing director of LA Theater Works, and today we're going to talk about Extinction with two very special guests.
Hi, I'm Hannie Rayson from Melbourne, Australia, and I wrote the play.
Hello there, I'm Martin Jarvis, and as you can probably tell, I'm not from Melbourne, Australia. I'm from London, and I was lucky enough to be invited to direct this remarkable play by Hannie, Extinction, and we had great fun doing it.
Hannie, what inspired you to write Extinction?
Well, I had a friend, a great friend from Britain who came to Australia for the first time, and I wanted to show her some of our wildlife. So I took her down to a place called Cape Otway, which is on the Great Southern Ocean, where the rainforest meets the ocean. Very beautiful, sublimely beautiful place. So she could see kangaroos boinging about and wallabies and kookaburras and koalas in the trees, all in the wild. And there I met this some people from this outfit called Cape Otway Conservation Ecology Centre, and they were involved in this project which to save the tiger quoll, an animal, a marsupial, an Australian animal that had been everywhere, ubiquitous when we were children, but have become endangered, and there hasn't been a sighting of one for many years. And I loved these people. I was so struck by their sort of optimism and the scale of their ambition. If you could see the bush, it's massive. They were training dogs, detector dogs, to try and find the scats, the poo, which is tiny, in this, like the little scat about the size of your fingernail, in this massive bushland. And I thought, this is like kind of doomed, but sort of wonderful as well. And all the science in the play is true and has happened there, but all of the sort of corruption and the infidelity and the sexuality, that's all my own work. So they did sort of good sports really about that. But the great thing to tell you about this is that when I first finished the first draft, and there's lots more to say, of course, about what the play is actually about, when I hit send on my computer to send my draft to the Manhattan Theatre Club in New York, that very day, after 25 years, they found a tiger quoll.
Wow.
Oh.
So it feels to me to be sort of, it felt at that moment, I suppose, almost sort of biblical, wonderful.
Have you always been interested in animals?
Well, as a child, I, had a dog that I loved, but we lived in the suburbs, and they were sort of things that happened to other people who lived in the bush who weren't us. But as I've got older, and we have a family holiday house on this Great Ocean Road just before you get to Cape Otway, I was there 2 days ago, and there was a massive kangaroo in the backyard, like one that's like a bear that stood there. It was huge. And we had a whale last week that washed up, sadly, a dead whale, but a whale nonetheless that was 23 metres long on our beach. Little echidnas that I hadn't seen before in the sand dunes. So now I think the process of writing this play has kind of connected me, because I am an urban person. I live right in the centre of town. But the process of thinking about and writing this play has made me feel totally kind of connected to the awe and majesty of the environment, and I feel very passionate about it.
Mart, have you ever been to Australia?
I have indeed. I had a most wonderful time. It must be, 15 years ago in Melbourne. I stayed in South Yarra for 7 weeks. It was quite fun because there was a whole group of us: Gemma Jones, my old friend, British actress, Barry Humphries, Australian, who happened to be around, old friend. And that was the social side of working very hard on a TV series and film. I had a wonderful time with wonderful Australian colleagues, and two very nice fish restaurants in South Yarra, which was good after
You
a
might
long
add.
on the set. But my other feeling is that I've been to Australia again, particularly Victoria, particularly Melbourne, with this remarkable play. And I'm talking about going to your setting, Hannie, your scenarios, and understanding more and more about Australia. I mean, when you mentioned about the animals that you love and had, you've got a lot of animals in this. Apart from the tiger quoll itself, you've got a dog we care about. I think, if I remember, it's called Beast, and you've got various birds, and you've got something I hadn't heard of called a barking owl, which is not necessarily a mad owl, but a barking owl that doesn't bark. It's silent, which is very unfair on radio, because there we have, oh, look, there's the barking owl, and we can't have him go, ooh, because he doesn't make any noise. But we found a way to do that. In other words, and just to say briefly about your play, it's a very important play. Some people will say this is a political play, and of course it is. It's a play, it's a politico-scientific drama, if you like. But the brilliant thing about it is that it's really about us all through the whole world of possible extinction. And if somebody said to you, oh, and I want to go and see this play, it's about the environment, it's about mining, it's about endangered species, human and animal. It's about global warming even. It's about relationships, and it's about political endeavor and political possible chicanery, which occurs later in the play. You'd say, I wonder is this a serial? Is this a TV? Is this a 10-hour? No, you brilliantly get it. You entertain us. And, you know, the best of David Hare is always when he writes a political play, but it is entertaining at the same time. And of course, we all go back to Bernard Shaw, who was wonderfully entertaining and often very funny when he wrote his possibly polemic dramas. And I think, if I may say so, slightly embarrassing because here you are, but to say that you've achieved something that I know listeners will absolutely love, because last of all, Ibsen got this right too. You write a very important play about very important themes, and it's also a thriller. And this play is a thriller.
It seems to me that Extinction is more than about the tiger quoll. There are all kinds of romantic escapades going on with our characters. Are natural selection and survival of the fittest key to the play's love stories?
I think what's sort of key to the shenanigans, the sexual shenanigans that go on in this play is that it is a sort of metaphor in a way of, you know, people getting into bed, people of environmental consciousness getting into bed with big coal. And in my case, they get into bed literally with the coal miner. And, you know, so those sorts of issues are woven through the play. But I really want to add further that the tiger quoll is a central sort of image, I suppose, for the extinction. But a lot of the environmental debate that we have had has been absolutely categorised or by a sort of villainy, you know, that there's good and bad people, that ideology is part of it, and it's a real adversity politics, actually. And my question all the time is about the sort of personal ethics involved. You know, how am I to behave under these circumstances? And not that there are evil people and good people, and this is you know, there's going to be an evil developer that comes into and good people fight the good fight. But actually thinking about all of us being flawed and all of us having self-interest involved in all the things we do, and how we sort of negotiate that terrain, and how I can stack up things so that people do have to make quite hard choices. So that's essentially what the play is about. Yeah.
I mean, do you think that humans are actually the endangered species in this play? Is that another sort of thought that you are trying to communicate to us in the play?
Not really. I mean, I think that potentially, I suppose, if we willfully disregard our stewardship role of the planet, then we will be definitely an endangered species too. But no, that's not the point of it. I think really the simple point is that that is our responsibility, and that we will be bigger, more human, fuller people if we actually share the planet. That caring for animals and caring for wildlife and nature is just makes us more. And so it's not really just self-interest. You know, if we don't look after the planet, we will die. Yes, but you know, we need to find ways in which we can share.
Martin, the actors weren't ever in the same room in the studio at the same time. How did you get such?
Tell me.
Well, how did you get such great performances under those circumstances?
As you know, Susan, I never rather like. In fact, I went on 2 occasions when I was in Melbourne to the great. Is it called His Majesty's Theatre? Her Majesty's Theatre, lovely big, and I saw 2 great magic shows, and and I'm very interested in magic, and over the years have gleaned a few secrets. I never like to give away the secret of how the trick is done, because going back to the idea of the imaginative nature, starting with the imagination, of course, of the author, and then coming to the imagination of the actors and hopefully the director, we find ways. Easy enough to say, we had a read through in our lockdown world. All our actors and producer, you were there, and
on Zoom, right?
And I like to say to the actors, this is the only time, it's like a movie in a way, that you'll be able to look each other in the eye, see each other, listen to each other, time off each other. This read-through is as important as a read-through in perhaps a normal recording room or rehearsal room, if not more so. In fact, we can sometimes see each other better. And we had a terrific read-through, and we talked about the play and the attitudes of the four characters. So that's the first thing. And then, because of filming and film experience, with you guys and with Ros Ayres, also a director, I found ways of making sure that they seemed to be in the same room. And I'm not going to say whether we shot on our phones or on Zoom or in isolated spaces around Los Angeles. I'm not going to say, because I want the listeners to believe that these characters are together, as I feel they are. I can remember years ago when I first started acting in radio, and I was a very, very young actor indeed, and my Uncle George heard the first play that I was ever in, and I played a jockey and at a racetrack, a lot of stuff there. My Uncle George said, I heard that play on Saturday night, Martin. So which racetrack were you at? I mean, you were on that horse, weren't you? And I knew then that that's what I will always want to achieve, is the verisimilitude of actual behavior. What's it like when you're on a horse? What's it like when you're having a row in the veterinary surgery? What is it like when you're hit across the face? And you know, that's the acting imagination.
Hannie Rayson and Martin Jarvis, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much.